It's Monday night, and you know what that means. Jersey First TV proudly brings you the latest edition of Real Talk, and I am New Jersey's premier and now 7-time award-winning journalist, top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit online magazine, and certainly the Garden State's most beloved and visually appealing conservative. Yes, it's me, folks. Fernando Uribe. Hoping you all have a joyous Monday. Very frigid, a little chilly. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I sure did. My New Jersey Devils are on a 12-game winning streak. Best record, I think, in the NHL. So I'm really excited about that, being a hockey fan. But more importantly, folks, of course, how about my Dallas Cowboys going to Minnesota? Let me have a little victory tea today. Hold on. A little victory tea because, while teams like the Philadelphia Frauds, right, are squeaking by against teams that are like 3-5-1. The Dallas Cowboys had a lot of questions going into yesterday against the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings. Well, we put that to rest because we smoked them. We smacked them around, and it's on to the next game, folks. So, again, on Thanksgiving, as they face the New York Giants, I'm looking forward to that one. I know everybody else is as well in the New Jersey, New York tri-state area. Folks, happy Thanksgiving week. I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so. Here on Facebook Live via StreamYard, also on the Jersey First YouTube page, as well as on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Folks, always remember to check out all the excellent programming brought to you by Jersey First. You can check out, of course, my program on Facebook. Make sure you like it. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's the same handle, ladies and gentlemen, at the Fernando Zone. And, of course, make sure you also subscribe to the Jersey First YouTube page, as well as all of our episodes are available on Spotify and on SoundCloud. So when you're going to the gym, maybe going for a run, taking the kids to soccer practice, taking your kids to a recital, ballet, piano practice, whatever it is, folks, take Jersey First with you wherever you go. Again, download the episodes, listen to them free of charge. Of course, sharing is caring. Share them on all of your social media platforms, and, of course, download them wherever you get your podcasts. So we appreciate your support, folks, and certainly the traffic on this show continues to be very, very good. And, of course, the reason it continues to be very, very good is because of you, my loyal viewing audience. And certainly I am grateful for that. Again, as we are about to celebrate Thanksgiving in just a few days, I want to give thanks to all of you for continuing to make Real Talk with Jersey First TV an overwhelming success in 2022, and certainly to continued success in 2023. And certainly, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned, though, because at the end of the show, we're going to have a new segment here on the program. I think you definitely want to stick around for that because I have a lot to say about last week's League of Municipalities and a great story for all of you. I think you're going to get a great chuckle. And it's important to expose bad people in New Jersey. That's exactly what I'm going to do on the show tonight. But first, folks, of course, the reason this show continues to do exceptionally well, of course, it's all due to my loyal viewing audience, very intelligent audience. It's because of exceptional guests that I continue to bring you each and every week. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, of course, the exclusives that you don't see anywhere else. And I got to say, it's good to talk to him once again on this program. A fellow Tarian, born just one day apart here, he and I. And again, he's a big fan of the show. And I know you're a fan of his as well. Folks, he is the distinguished state senator out of the 11th Legislative District, right along the Jersey shoreline. Folks, my good friend, State Senator Gopal joins us on Real Talk. Senator, how are you?
Good, Fernando. How are you today?
Good. How's the baby? How's the wife?
Everyone is going good. 4 months she's going to turn, and I miss her right now. I haven't seen her all day, but truly blessed.
Well, I'll give my best to Christina as well, okay? I know she's a fan of the show. I have to get her back on as well. I know that, again, doing a great job as a mother. Folks, again, if you're not familiar with the 11th Legislative District, it is certainly one of the 40 legislative districts in the state of New Jersey, covering, preeminently Monmouth County municipalities, which include the borough of Allenhurst, Asbury Park City, Colts Neck Township, Deal Borough, Eatontown Borough, Freehold Borough, and the Freehold Township. Don't get them confused. I know some people get a little fickle about that. Okay. Interlaken Borough, Lock Arbor Village, certainly Long Branch City, one of my favorite parts of the Jersey Shore. Great restaurants, great beaches, obviously. Neptune City Borough, as well as Neptune Township, along with Ocean Township, Red Bank Borough, a lot of great restaurants in Red Bank. I almost have to kind of like, I feel conflicted about, Long Branch or Red Bank. Shrewsbury Borough, folks, Shrewsbury Township, Tinton Falls Borough, and also West Long Branch Borough. Now, again, that is due to the previous map. I know redistricting might have something to change about that and have something to say about it in 2023. We'll get to that a little bit later. But Senator, how are you? Again, certainly a very diverse, socially, and I would say economically diverse district down in LD11. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have the most downtowns of any district in the state. So we have a lot of mom and pop small businesses, whether you look at Freehold Borough, the city of Asbury Park, Long Branch, where I live, Red Bank, Ocean Grove. So we got a lot, and a lot of people, this is the district I was born and raised in, but it's nice to see that other people like to vacation where we live year round.
No, absolutely. And certainly one of the things that stood out, especially with redistricting, obviously, and again, I don't know because, again, it's 40 legislative districts. It's hard to sort of keep up with everything. Is there anything that's going to look different in 2023 as it pertains to LD11 in terms of new townships, or are things being subtracted?
Sure. So the district is losing West Long Branch, and it is gaining Bradley Beach and Fairhaven.
Okay. I guess the bigger question is, are you popular in those two towns there, Senator?
Look, they're great communities. I loved West Long Branch too. I understand the rationale. West Long Branch was part of a regional high school that was in Senator O'Scanlan's district, so they want to keep all the schools in that regional district together. But I love Fairhaven. I love Bradley Beach. Two great communities, and excited about the opportunity if the residents of the district allow me to represent those two towns.
Now, Senator, in 2011, I know you, unfortunately, I think we're a little bit of a victim of somewhat of a red wave along the Jersey shoreline when it came to assembly seats. I know that you're the only sitting Democrat, I think, almost along the Jersey shoreline. I think whether in a Senate seat or assembly seats, I know I got a chance to meet I wouldn't say running mate, but one of your colleagues in the assembly in your district, Assemblywoman Marilyn Paperno, who was nice enough to come up to me during the League of Municipalities. Great lady. Certainly looking forward to having her on the show in 2023, obviously with legislative races right around the corner, actually a year from now or less than a year from now. Certainly, I think the biggest question people have is, how have you been able to work with two Republican assemblywomen in your district where, let's be fair, you were working with other Democrats for quite some time. So what's been the transition for you and how smooth has it been?
Well, look, I think, what hurt me last election was the slow counting of the election ballots. Ultimately, I won the election by about 2,600 votes, which is almost 5 points. But on election night, I was down by 500 votes. So folks assumed that the district was a little closer. I mean, 2,600 votes was a healthy margin. The governor had lost the district by about 3,000 votes. So I had over 5,000 people cross over to support my candidacy, which I was happy about. The assembly members that I was running with, Hotelling and Downey, they narrowly lost, but they still overcame thousands of crossover votes, folks that voted for Jack Shirley and voted for them. I'm looking forward to next year. I'm going to be at the top of the ticket. The legislature, the state Senate is at the top. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation. I've worked hard on, I've sponsored and gotten into law more bipartisan bills than I think any other member of the Senate. I've worked hard across the aisle. I'm working with Senator Vince Palestina down in Atlantic City right now on a number of bills. I've worked on a number of issues, which you may not know, I co-chair this School of Civil Discourse with former State Senator Joe Carrillos, former State Republican Chairman, where we at Monmouth University bring in a different Democrat and Republican. We had the Senate President Nick Scutari and Republican leader Steve Orho earlier this year to talk about civility and working together. So I'm going to continue to do that. People know that this is an independent area, and I've worked hard. I probably, when Governor Murphy's been right, I've supported him. I've also opposed him when he was wrong, in my opinion. I was one of the few Democrats to come out against the $15 minimum wage because it disproportionately hurt small businesses and mom and pops, while the guy who owned 10 restaurants was going to benefit. I sponsored a bill last year with Senator O'Scanlan to end the state of emergency, the only Democrat to come out. I have not always voted for Democratic budgets. I think that's what folks are looking for. I think that's especially residents in Monmouth County. They know that while I'm obviously a Democrat and their core principles of the Democratic Party, such as standing up for working class families, would sometimes get lost, just like there are core elements of the Republican Party which get lost on their side. I am always about working with everybody and getting results for the district. So that's my focus. I'm going to continue to do that. And I think that's a big reason why there are over 5,000 people who crossed over from Jack Ciattarelli to me last election.
That's a good point there. So, and folks, if you just joined us right now, it's 6:11 on the East Coast here on Jersey First TV. Our guest this week here on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe is the distinguished state senator out of the 11th Legislative District, the great Ben Gopal, here joining us on the show tonight. Folks, again, sharing is caring. Just tuning in on Facebook Live via StreamYard, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever. Share it right now. We appreciate that as always. Senator, it's interesting because just a couple of weeks ago, obviously, we had probably one of the most tumultuous midterm elections I can remember in my adult life. I'm a student of history. I know you are as well. It was, to me, it was quite fascinating because I know up here where I live in CD8 and next door in CD5 in Bergen County, I knew that those representatives, both Rob Menendez Jr. and Josh Gottheimer, were going to win their races. It's as blue as Windex up here. I called those races a while back. I felt that Republicans had a chance to win, certainly in other districts, CD11, CD7, CD3. Getting back to redistricting, it seemed like this redistricting map did exactly what it was supposed to do. I think it was going to favor Republicans somewhat. I think it was designed to sacrifice one Democrat, and I think that's what happened with Tom in the Battle of the Toms with Tom Malinowski. I think that in CD3, I thought it was going to be a closer race. It wasn't. I thought Bob Healy maybe had a chance to pull off an upset. Same thing in CD11 with Paul DeGroot. That didn't happen. I had David Wallstein on last week, the editor of the New Jersey Globe. I'm not sure if you read him. I'm pretty sure you do. Who doesn't? And there was an interesting take we had last week about where polling continues to get it wrong. I think this cycle, polling really got it wrong, especially in New Jersey. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. We've seen that consistently. I think what we saw this year is people truly zigzag the ballot, and we saw that everywhere. I mean, we saw it up in New Hampshire where the popular Republican governor Sununu won big, and the Democratic Senator Shaheen also won. I mean, I saw that throughout my district in towns like Eatontown, where Republican Congressman Chris Smith would win handedly, and they would elect Democrats at the mayor and local level. We saw it again. Belmar flipped to the Democrats. People really went out there, and I really think they zigzagged the ballot in a way. I think that usually they blame the party in power in midterms, and with rising costs, food costs, gas prices, inflation, I'm very surprised the Republicans didn't do better. I think I don't think they nominated great candidates across the country. I think they could have nominated, you saw how good the governor of Florida did. He won big. He stayed on message, the governor of Georgia. But I think in like Pennsylvania and some of these Senate states, they did not nominate the best candidates. And I think people are truly voting for the person. And I think that's a good, healthy thing. I don't think it's always great when they just go straight party line down. I think people have to send a message, and sometimes you do. And and I've heard it both ways. I heard people last year, we're sending Murphy a message, and we're going to vote for all Republican this year to send a message. I've heard it, we want to send Trump a message, we're going to vote all Democrat. I don't think that's always great. I think people have to examine the candidates and decide who's best to do the job. But I think that's the one takeaway I took, is people truly went out there, zigzagged the ballot. In District 3, I have part of Andy Kim's district, and I heard from a lot of folks who didn't love that Healy's mom had put in $6 million or whatever into a super PAC. I had a number of people come up to me early in a week or two before the election when I was at an event. So I think the candidates matter. And I think that a lot of people are looking at that. And we've seen some really good, effective Republican candidates. My colleague, John Bramnick, did the same thing I did. He won a district in Westfield that Phil Murphy won handedly. Phil Murphy crushed that district. And yet Bramnick won, and it's the same thing that happened here. Jack Ciattarelli crushed it in my district, and I won. So I think people are starting to zigzag, which is good.
Yeah, you're right about that. And it's interesting because, I'm a big sports fan. Sometimes we tend to sort of fall in love with the laundry, right? The jersey. And I think people get tribal the same way in politics. They just look at the letter and, as you mentioned, just want to vote down the line. And sometimes, in your case last year, obviously people that voted Republican that were upset with the governor in the way that he handled, for example, the way he handled COVID, which, again, I'm going to go on record, and not because I'm being partisan here, but I think we learned that great governors like Ron DeSantis in Florida, Greg Abbott in Texas, they got it right. Andrew Cuomo got it wrong. I think Phil Murphy got it wrong. I think that Lamont got it wrong. I think, again, I don't want to make this a partisan thing. A virus isn't partisan. It's not political, but it just seemed like blue governors like our own, right? The governor. I think we're going to learn more information is going to be coming out about how he got it wrong. How long that takes to learn remains to be seen. But to your point about, again, the tribalism that exists within voting, Senator, I think that's true. I think absolutely we're seeing that. And I think it might sort of play a role maybe even next year as all 80 assembly seats are up for grabs and all 40 state Senate seats are up for grabs, including your own. We'll get to that in a minute. But back to the climate in Trenton. Certainly legislation, I think now, obviously, as we're approaching Thanksgiving, we're approaching December. I hate to call it a lame duck session, but sometimes it's a session that's not a lot of traffic, not a lot of work being done, maybe waiting for the, January, however have you. What's legislation that you would say you've been most proud of this year, Senator, to either co-sponsor, introduce, or vote on?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you two things, one that I'm proud of and one that I am very committed to getting done. The thing I'm proud of is we've really expanded mental health funding in this state in a large way. We've created systems, 688 network. We've created funding for the prevention of teen suicide. We've added funding in Monmouth County for the Monmouth Mental Health Association. We're working to get more social workers and therapists. We've really worked hard. In fact, this budget had the largest increase in mental health funding that we've ever seen. Something that is a big issue, and probably my number one issue right now, is crime. We've got a incredible amount of car thefts, home invasions. Crime has gotten out of control. I remind my friends on the other side of the aisle that a lot of this bail reform was done under Governor Christie. But regardless, we've got to work together. I've got a number of bills that I'm hoping to get in December. I was encouraged to see Governor Murphy come out last week to say we got to look at some of this stuff, but crime is not good. I mean, I think that played a big role in the New York governor's race, why the Democratic governor had a closer election than other places, because crime is got to be a issue. I'm confident in the Democratic Senate, and I've spoken to Senate President Scutari and Senator Sarlo and some of the others. We can really do some good stuff on looking at bail reform and looking at increasing the penalties on those and that are stealing cars or those adults who are often hiring, adults coming from North Jersey who are hiring kids because they know the kids are going to get out under 17 and sending them down. And it's turning into home invasions. It's not in a good place. We have to, public safety has to be our number one priority right now. And I think that's probably one of the biggest priorities for my constituents right now.
Senator, when you state Senator, obviously learning curve. He obviously Sweeney last year. Certainly, he rose up the ranks, being the Senate president. What's your relationship with him again as we're approaching almost a year of him as the Senate president?
Great. Senator Scutari has been a friend of mine prior to me ever being in the Senate. He actually is the one who came and convinced me to run for the Senate. I originally wasn't going to do it 4 years ago, and he talked me into it. So he's been a friend. He's been great. We disagree on stuff. We agree on stuff. We work together. I think that he has been way more measured as far as his, the resolution that he led, passing on calling the unemployment offices to reopen, played a big impact on them starting up again. He's taken some aggressive stands that always hasn't made fans with some members in our caucus, as well as the governor's office and others. But I think he's been a good leader, and he's right on a lot of the issues that we want to talk about, and for that I'm grateful for.
Senator, you mentioned crime, and obviously it's been in the news cycle in New Jersey. I want to be as possible here, but I have to almost kind of allow some of your colleagues, I guess in the upper chamber, I guess in the state Senate, even in the assembly too, it seems like they're very intent on making it much more difficult for law-abiding citizens in New Jersey to protect themselves. Like these draconian gun law. I mean, listen, New Jersey probably has the strictest gun laws in the country. It seems like State Senate President Scutari, Assembly Speaker Coughlin, and along with the governor, seem to be fixated on making gun laws even tighter. And I get it; it's probably arguably the toughest in the nation. And to me, I always, again, as a proud NRA member, as a proud advocate, and proponent and user of the Second Amendment, I'm sorry, but it just seemed, it's great for the governor who has 24-hour security all around the clock for him. Never have to worry about it. But for law-abiding citizens in New Jersey that some live in some of the worst areas in the state, take your pick: Elizabeth, Camden, Newark, Plainfield, Jersey City. I mean, sometimes, making it more difficult for law-abiding people to own a firearm, I don't think that's, to me, that's not contributing to a safer New Jersey. It seems like a little more draconian New Jersey. But again, maybe I'm a little biased here.
Yeah, look, I think there's three things. One is we have to go more, and I've talked to the Senate President more about this. He's agreed on going after illegal guns, stopping the flow of illegal guns that are coming from Georgia and some of these other states into New Jersey. Two, I think, look, we know that the mind does not fully mature until it hits at least 25 or 26, a little earlier for girls than it does for boys. And I do think that we should not stop the process of somebody buying a gun, but we've seen a lot of these shootings that have happened, including this one most recently, are happening from younger folks. And I think, you need to get a license to drive a car without infringing on anyone's legal rights. There just needs to be some precautions taken. Now, unfortunately, what happens often in policy in New Jersey is they go too far, and that can't happen. Any law-abiding gun owner, that's a constitutional right. They should have that constitutional right to protect themselves and their loved ones. But I do think that we have to make sure folks that have mental health challenges, folks that have had, sometimes I battle with my friends. Fernando, I have a group of NRA members that I meet with pretty regularly who live in my district. Probably none of them vote for me, but I want to know their worldview and I want to know where they're coming from. We meet pretty regularly. We talk about it. A group out of Eatontown and Red Bank. And one of the things that I've said is that, we have to make it harder for those in domestic violence, those who've had mental health challenges, those who have, we can't make it as easy as possible for them to get guns. And most reasonable people who are proud owners of their guns agree with that. But I do have some battles with some of the groups who feel like any infringement is that slippery slope argument. And that's where we disagree. But I do think we have to make it a little harder for those that have a tendency on any type, especially on domestic violence, to make it harder for them to be able to have that gun.
I'm with you. I think we can both agree on that for sure. Well, Senator, getting back to legislation, I know that one piece of legislation that continues to get a lot of attention, and I'm someone who had interviewed school board candidates this year, talked to school board advocacy organizations in New Jersey. Very much, it was a good year for people like myself that advocate for parents that want to be more involved in their school districts and their school boards. And one big topic, I think we started seeing it in the fall of 2021, happened in Virginia. I think it was sort of an issue even nationally during this midterm election, was, the ongoing discussion about sex ed curriculum. And again, let me be very clear, because it seems that people on the other side love to paint me as a bigot or a homophobe or a transphobe. I'm none of those things. But I believe in science. I know what I took in high school biology. I know I passed it, and other things as well. But this is what bothers me, though, Senator. It's become so tribal where even if I question curriculum, or I don't hate gay people. I don't hate trans people. I don't dislike any of them. That's not my mission is trying to talk about equity and equality. They're two separate things, whether it's in athletics, whether it's in our educating our kids. And I think a lot of parents ran on a message of like, hey, we pay property taxes. We fund these school districts. And that sex ed curriculum that passed in 2020, and obviously it's advanced a little bit. I know you're on the education committee. That has come under a lot of scrutiny. And I know that you have come under some scrutiny. How do you care to address it?
Fernando, I will challenge you to name any district of our 584 in the state that's teaching sex acts to second graders. It's not happening. So I will tell you, this has been the greatest political operation misinformation campaign that I've ever seen. I think it was not successful this November. I think that folks did well on school boards because they ran and the other side just wasn't organized. I think we are right now facing the greatest teacher shortage we've ever had.
Yeah.
Remember, people love to say they want to leave New Jersey, but they always leave after their kids leave the school system. They don't want to raise their kids in Florida or South Carolina schools. We've got folks around the state that are talking about wanting to put cameras in the classroom. I mean, I talk to teachers right now. They are terrified. Certainly I'm going to speak for myself and my colleagues. I would strongly encourage every parent to talk to their school district about what is in their curricula and make sure they're fully comfortable. I'm going to do that for my daughter. I expect everyone to do that and to make sure they're comfortable with that. So the message to say that we don't want parents, that's absolute crazy. And I'll tell you, I introduced a bill when this was happening simply to say one thing back in April, to put sex and health education curricula fully on the school board website. So all 584 districts have to put it on the website so everyone has to do it. The Republican members of the Senate Education all voted it down. And they voted it down because the more transparency that's out there, that ends their political argument. They had congressional elections. I don't think it's going to work next year because we still are to this date. There's not a single school district we can find that is teaching sex acts, masturbation, any of these things that we've said. It does not exist. Now, there are third-party consultants, just like you and I can start a company tomorrow. That's what started this out to somebody who was trying to sell it in Westfield. The district did not buy that product. There's thousands of third-party products out there. Some of them are probably horrendous, but that's up to the district. We have a state of home rule here, which is good and bad. And these 584 school districts elect school board members, and every parent should be meeting with their school board members, should be going to school board meetings and know what's in the curricula. Not just sex and health education, across the board. So I do think it's not 99% politics. I think it's 100% politics. And I can, speaking for the school districts here in Monmouth County, and I'm going to quote Middletown School District, which is probably one of the most conservative school districts in the state. Literally the school board president, who I get along well, he's a good guy. His whole entire Facebook page is anti-Murphy. They are and they will be okay with me describing them as probably the most right-wing school board. Their curricula director recently told the Patch, this has been the greatest misinformation campaign that we have ever seen. We have full control. And they decided to do the opposite. They decided to have every parent opt in, which that's their right. I think it's going to be a bureaucratic nightmare for the school to deal with, but they're going to figure it out. But they said this is all misinformation. We as the district have control what's being taught. The state is not forcing us to do anything. And that's where we're at. And more people I talk to, I think parents are generally obviously concerned about their kid. They see a Facebook post, they see something, states trying to put sex health mandates. As I talk to more and more and they see, and, I've gone to school board meetings and we've met with them and they go through the curriculum, they sit with the principal, they see there's nothing here. And if there is a district that chooses to go more than it should, my hope is that the school board members in that town will hold them accountable and vote them out. The same way if we have a mayor and council that's going too far on any issue that they're having in their town. But I think it's hard to have it both ways, to say that we don't want home rule or we do want home rule. And I think that's essentially what happened here. But Fernando, I'm very concerned about this teacher shortage. It's getting worse and worse. And these kids, I just met with all the deans of schools of education, and a lot of these kids are coming out and like, why would we want to do this? Why would we want to go in? We're starting off making $50,000 a year. We're lucky in 30 years if we ever hit six figures. And we have people actively saying we're sexualizing kids. Why would we want to go into this industry when there's no evidence of that? So I'm concerned about the greater ramifications, and I've challenged my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, led by Senator Orho, to think about those ramifications, because I do think it's extreme. And if he or anybody else can find that school district that's teaching sex acts to second graders, I'll be the first to stand up with them and call for every school board member to resign.
Senator, it's interesting. I believe municipality might guess in January year. So I'm really looking forward to having that conversation about this. And obviously, it's an ongoing discussion. Senator, you're a voting Democrat, and you talk about next year. Obviously, certain things didn't work this year in terms of a campaign slogan. We saw the New Jersey Globe and other news sites report that supposedly going into the legislative elections next year, Apparently, it seemed like putting abortion on the ballot in New Jersey. And this is what bothers me. Again, you're a true blue Democrat. You're not a crazy left winger. You're not one of these woke fools that tries to think everything about gender or race or everything. Again, I've had you on the show multiple times. You're a middle of the road Democrat. You're reasonable. We can talk policy. We're both middle of the road. I lean more right, you lean more left. That's fine. We're both middle of the road where we can talk about these things. I just hate that abortion continues to be weaponized during election season. I don't have a law degree, but I don't need one to know that in New Jersey it's been codified. Okay, this notion of hysteria coming out of Trenton, like what needs to be on the ballot on the Constitution. I'm all about amending a sacred document for something I think really worthwhile. And I know that's going to piss off some feminists and cat ladies in New Jersey, but again, it's codified into state law. What more do these insufferable groups, Senator, want? Whether it's Planned Parenthood, Women for Progress, I'm up to here already with their bitching and moaning. It's codified into state law. What more needs to be done in New Jersey?
Well, the Senate President and Speaker came out today saying they will not be on the ballot. They're not going to vote on a constitutional amendment, and I fully support them in their decision. I think we got to focus on, I am proudly pro-choice. I believe in a woman's right to choose, and it's protected here in New Jersey. I think there's a lot of other issues we got to focus on.
I mean, but does it alarm you that there was some maybe in the party, or maybe that they're listening too much to some of these organizations that, again, they live the bitch and moan. It's insufferable already.
Look, I agree, but here's where I challenge you, Fernando. I got a lot of problems in my party. The Republicans have the same problem. They got folks doing the same stuff on January 6th or whatever stuff they got, and I talk to my friends on the other side of the aisle who it's funny. I'm actually closer to a lot of my friends on the other side of the aisle than some on my own side, right? But I talk, and they got the same concerns. I don't think some of my folks in my party who are on the far left, or I don't even want to call them far left. I want to just call them folks that don't believe in progress or compromise because they want to go out, they want to shout, they want to scream, but they never actually move the ball forward. And I don't think that's healthy on either side of the aisle.
That's right. Before I let you go, you're at the top of the ticket next year. It's a legislative election. Obviously, the emperor seems to have higher aspirations. He's letting his hair grow out. He's wearing collared shirts with ties now more often. It's interesting. It seems maybe he has aspirations for 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I think, again, I know you're a gentleman. I can make these jokes on my show. I think Woodrow Wilson is safely in his grave thinking, I'm going to be the only New Jerseyan to ever win the presidency. I think that's pretty safe. But next year, it seems maybe it might be a little bit of not an indictment of Phil Murphy, but maybe a testimonial of Phil Murphy, where some assembly seats are vulnerable, some Senate seats are vulnerable. I would argue your state Senate seat is not vulnerable, but some of your colleagues are. I know you're at the top of the ticket. How is the Monmouth County Democratic Committee ultimately going to help you? Yeah. Again, you have 2 Republican Assembly people. How hard is this process now to get candidates to run with you? To get them back?
That part has. Look, I think and I like the 2 Republican Assembly people. They're friendly when I see them. My challenge with them is for the first year, they'd be friendly, and then they go on Facebook. If you look at their Facebook page, they would just attack me, put memes up, and it's hard to work with somebody in good faith when they're saying, smiling to your face, and then 10 minutes later they're putting up a Facebook comment attacking you. Like when I co-sponsored Senator O'Scanlan's for only Democrat in the state to sponsor the resolution to end the state of emergencies, which my party was very mad at me for jumping out. And I believe that did play a big role in getting the governor to do that. They put up memes criticizing that process. So I was never really able to work with them, unfortunately. We've got, no exaggeration, Fernando, 16 people as of this morning who are interested in running for the 2 assembly seats, which is ironic because when I was the Democratic chair 6 years ago, I couldn't even find 2 people to originally run for it. So I'm optimistic about next year. I'm not going to take anything for granted. I took a lot for granted last year. I'm not going to make that mistake again this time. And I'm looking forward to just not only talking about my record, but talking about a lot of the things we need to continue to do. And as far as the governor's hair, I'm not one to criticize here. If you notice, I got a few balding spots.
Senator, you got a nice head of hair. You're not.
I don't know. There's a
hair. God bless you. I'm jealous. But you know where my jokes are coming from. It just seems like I think the wrong people are advising Governor Murphy. Like, I listen. If hopefully he should have learned something from watching Governor Christie. I get it. You got reelected. different margins. Obviously, Governor Christie won in a landslide in the re-election. Governor Murphy had to sweat it out for a couple of days to win by like the only margin that I called, which was a 3-point margin. I just think the wrong people. I think, again, this is just consultants trying to milk people for money, knowing fully well that Governor Murphy, I don't think, is a good candidate for the Democratic Party.
I don't know. I can't comment on that. Barack Obama was at 1%, and Chris Christie was looking like the best candidate in the world at one point until Bridgegate happened. I think things change, and I don't know. Look, he definitely had a very close election, even though we have 1 million more Democrats in the state. A lot of Democrats clearly didn't vote, or vote for him. So he's got to talk about this. I think the further he gets away from COVID, I think the better off he is. But certainly, I mean, it's not the Democratic Party right now nationally doesn't have a lot of great options. And Republicans have a better bench. If they move away from Trump, they could be very competitive the next couple of years. But
that's fair.
Yeah, but the Democrats' bench is not good.
Well, speaking of the bench, I mean, what about the presidential bench? I keep hearing your name about 2025, Senator. You're young. You're a rising star of the Democratic Party. You're not some crazy woke left winger that gets triggered by statues or gets triggered by pronouns and all that other nonsense. I keep hearing Vin Gopal in 2025. Is something you want to tell me, Senator?
I can't wait to run for re-election to the state senate next year, and that is probably whoever's putting that out there are probably some of my opponents who are trying to get me to lose votes in the district.
Senator, I hear from Democrats. I hear from good sources, operatives that tell me Gopal is a guy you got to watch out for in 25. I know everyone's in love with Steve Fulop and Ross Baraka, but Vin Gopal, that guy's stock is rising quicker than Aaron Judge's contracts demands. That's what I'm hearing.
That's kind of you to say that. But look, I Fernando, born and raised in Monmouth County. I was born in Neptune. I grew up here. The fact, like, I get emotional that I have this honor of being a state senator in the place I grew up in and have the ability to work with so many incredible folks. So that is my only focus.
Well, I had to try. People ask me, so I asked those burning questions people want to know the answers to. Senator, before I let you go, I want to thank you for your time. You're always a gentleman to come on here. We have great conversations. I'm a policy nerd. I know you're a policy nerd. We have to finally try to grab that beer.
We do. I feel confident that I can get you over to the Democratic column. Well, let's see how it goes. I want to talk to you about a few more issues, and I think that you're going to say, Vin, I actually find myself agreeing with you on everything, and then I'll get you the party registrations.
I think I can get you to agree on some conservative things as well. I think we'll have to grab that beer. Maybe when it gets a little bit warmer. I was down at the league last week. It was just chilly down the shore. But we'll keep in touch, Senator. My best to Christina. Congratulations on your new baby girl. Again, keep up the good work. I know you're gonna be fighting hard next year in legislative races. But you're always a gentleman to come on here, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and be a fan of Real Talk with Jersey First TV. I'll give you the last word, Senator.
Hope everyone has a safe Thanksgiving, and I'm sorry, Fernando, but I'm rooting for the Giants on Thursday. Sorry to say that.
Well, you know what? You might have to start drinking early. I'll tell you this after what we saw yesterday, boy.
It could be the Jets. Could be worse, so it's okay.
Absolutely. But, Senator, again, thank you so much for your time. Folks, he is State Senator Vin Gopal out of the 11th Legislative District. Again, join us here this week on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Senator, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you, and everything else. And we'll talk again in 2023.
Thank you. Have a great Christmas and New Year. Be well.
Thank you, brother. Take care. All right, folks. Great episode there with State Senator Vin Gopal. And I got to say, listen, this is a guy that, quite frankly, and folks, if you're just joining us right now, it's 6:35 here on the East Coast. Don't go anywhere. We've got a great segment coming up here in just a moment. But, of course, folks, it's always important to remember that the reason this show continues to do well, and, of course, is all due to you, my loyal and very intelligent viewing audience, and not just a couple hundred views, right, that some people get on their little Mickey Mouse YouTube shows. Like, we're talking about like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Folks, it's all documented. I don't have to make it up. It's all there. Okay? So you can watch it for yourself. The numbers are there. The traffic's there. And it's because of you, everyone who shares the episodes, people who comment, people who love. Folks, I got to tell you, last week, and listen, I have an ego as big as my house. Okay. And I sometimes can't fit in this house with the size of my ego. But it was humbling last week to run into so many good people at the League of Municipalities in Atlantic City that just said consistently, I don't have enough fingers and toes on my feet to name the amount of people that came up to me and said, Fernando, I love your show. You say things the way that you have to say them, and you call out all the liberal media in New Jersey and all of the garbage journalists that permeate, again, in the New Jersey media. We all know who they are. I've been talking about them all year, right? Alan Steinberg, Max Pizarro, Jay Lassiter, Bob Hennelly, Tom Moran. Take your pick, folks. David Cruz, okay? Listen, folks, I'm the hero you need. And I'm proud to be your hero. And I'll continue to be your hero in calling out bad journalism and standing up for regular people, for things that matter in today's political climate. Not pronouns, who cares? Or statues, or alphabet army nonsense, hysteria. I don't care about any of that stuff. It really doesn't affect me. It's the least consequential thing for me, okay? I talk about everyday things that matter to people, okay? Filling up your gas tanks, how much more expensive this Thanksgiving dinner is going to be for us here in New Jersey and nationally, okay? Inflation continue to be a problem. You think that the clowns I just mentioned talk about that or write about it in their columns, or talk about it on shows that they have with like 100, 200 views? Of course not. I'm the one talking about them, and that's why my traffic continues to be very good. So again, folks, this week I'm going to skip the Worst Journalist of the Week award, which I like to give out, but a new segment this week since it is Thanksgiving. I'm so thankful for all of you. Yes, folks, it's time. Obviously, it's a new segment here. It's story time with Fernando Uribe, baby. And yes, of course, folks, when we talk about story time, let me tell you a story about last week's League of Municipalities. And while I met so many great people last week, ran into some fans, made some new fans, obviously people that got to see me in person said, Fernando, this is the first time I'm meeting you, but bro, it's a pleasure and an honor to talk to you in person. And I don't have enough storage on my phone for all the pictures I took last week. But what's interesting about, the League of Municipalities was it reminded me about, well, one person that really, really stands out for me. And a guy that, and folks, it's Monday for me here on the show. Now, I don't know where for a lot of you live, maybe it alternates. But, when we talk about taking out the garbage, I mean, obviously where I live, it's done on Tuesdays. But let me do that right now. Let me just, for the most part, I don't know, kind of be, taking out the trash here, right? And because when you take out the trash, it's because there is trash. So when we talk about trash in New Jersey, of course, we always rely on Bob Medina. So when we talk about trash, this is where it belongs, right? When we're talking about Bob Medina, right? So more on the garbage bag later, but you get the picture, right? So when we talk about garbage in this state, we talk about Robertico, right? Robertico Medina. And I just got to say, folks, that my heart, okay, my sympathies, okay, go out to his brother Carlos, an upstanding, classy, reputable, and dignified member of the Medina family, okay? Not like Bobby. I mean, Bobby es un bobo. Eso no sirve para nada. He's not worth anything. And what does it say, Bobby, when your brother, it's funny because like in every family, there's always like el hermano que like vale algo, the brother that's worth something. And then you have the brother that is basura, is garbage, right? So that fits you perfectly. But to your brother Carlos, he's an accomplished attorney, an exceptional TV host. I watch his show Que Pasa, religious, because he's amazing at it. And I've been a guest on his show, so I must not be that bad, Bobby, if your brother's inviting me onto the show and will invite me again. And you know what? I'm privileged to have Carlos on my show. Because again, when we talk about the Medina brothers, the one que vale algo, the one que sirve para algo, the one that's worth something is Carlos Medina, not Bobby Medina. So let me tell you a story about last week at the League of Municipalities. Okay? And of course, I was very, very fortunate to hit the League of Municipalities, okay, to talk to people on both sides of the aisle, as you can see there, right? Whether it was former gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli, obviously my hot date for the festivities, the great Sarah Hamilton, obviously, walking around looking at elected officials, talking with them, right? Mayors, distinguished mayors that are making a difference in the community, right? Talking to very, very, in the know operatives, people that have a good sense of the political climate in New Jersey. Yes, I had a chance to talk and interact with them last week during the League of Municipalities. Of course, talking to exceptional journalists like my buddy and fellow member of course, yes, Cowboy Nation, John R. Highness. Great job he does with us, kind of you. So it was great to interact with them during the league. And by the way, as you can see there, great picture at the Cuba Libre restaurant in Atlantic City at the Tropicana Hotel. To Pete Onelia and the Graham family at Insider NJ, thank you so much for the open bar. I got to drink a lot at your expense, and why not? I deserve it. For, quite frankly, I think, I don't know, tolerating the nonsense I had to tolerate for 3 years. So again, shout out to Pete Onelia, who, by the way, let me go on record right now. It was good to talk with you in person, Pete, after a full year of not seeing you. And we got to talk in person and air some things out, things that you didn't like that I was saying, and some things that I didn't like that, quite frankly, I don't think you did enough of. Okay? But we were gentlemen. We shook hands. We're never going to see eye to eye. We're going to agree to disagree. But you know what? I left it alone as you've left it alone. But again, thank you for the drinks. That 2-hour open bar. I mean, I was going basically to the bar and just getting, I was just double fisting and getting 2 drinks because that bar was so busy. But again, thank you to Pete Onelia and the Graham family for all the drinks during the open bar. But what was interesting, folks, during the League of Municipality, before getting to the Insider NJ party, obviously, again, and shout out to Alyssa Dawson there, another fan of the show, another great conservative woman in New Jersey, so shout out to her, obviously. And what was interesting before getting to League, of course, and Krishna Martez, folks, you want to talk about eye candy with brains. I mean, we're just seeing it right there. So, I mean, of course, shout out to all the great ladies I got to talk with and interact with during the League of Municipalities. But what was interesting, folks, that during the league, again, especially on Tuesday night, on a rainy Tuesday night, okay, at the Noyes Art Museum in downtown Atlantic City, again, under the supervision of Stockton University. Shout out to the good people at Stockton University, okay, for working with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. As you can see there, you can see the Hispanic Chamber logo there. Great, great backdrop. Obviously, I'm there with my hot date. Shout out to Sarah Hamilton for making me look really, really good in that photo. Despite having a really, really good suit, she clearly makes the photo, as you can all see, right? But what was interesting, though, about the evening was walking around, saying hi to everybody, saying hi to Luis de la Hoz, the president, right? The chairman of the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Good to take pictures with him. I'm sure it'll be on the picture roll there. Obviously, as you saw, seeing Carlos Medina, the president and CEO of the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. It was great to interact with them, run into other people, obviously, that know me, that love my show, that love the exceptional award-winning brand of opinion journalism that I bring you. But of course, folks, when we talk about people that you're going to run into, yes, of course, let's get to Robertico. And you know what, Bobby? It's interesting, and I commend you. A man of your age, in your late 90s, okay, that had the temerity to come up to me and think that, oh, because you want to come up and scream at me that I'm just going to walk away. No, I'm going to stand there and I'm going to laugh at you. I'm going to smile at you. Hey, I'm going to smile at you because I have better teeth than you. I had you like this close. I had to stare at your awful teeth. I mean, Jesus, bro, like get those fixed already. But this is the thing. What's interesting about Bob Medina is Bob Medina seems to have graduated from the Cardi B school of, arguing or discussions where Bobby thinks that just because you're screaming the loudest, that means that you're correct. No, Bobby, you're not correct. Okay. And of course, here's a little bit of backstory because Bob Medina has taken exception with me taking shots at him on garbage Facebook pages like the Latino Action Network, another garbage page. I don't mind saying it to you, the Latino Action Network, do better. Your page is garbage. Your organization is garbage. I got no problem saying that. Okay. And whoever from the Latino Action Network that has a problem with me, you can come talk to me. I got no problem setting you straight. But back to Robertico, because we have to talk about Robertico. Okay? The audacity of Bobby to come up to me, and of course, in a public setting, because Bobby, we both know that you wouldn't do this on the street. Number one, you'd have a heart attack or a stroke if you got that worked up. Folks, you had to see this. You had to see Bobby being like, he was shaking. I was like, bro, you okay? You better calm down. You're going to have like a heart attack or a stroke. You know what I'm saying? Which I thought was kind of funny, you know? And I promise you, folks, out of the goodness of my heart, okay, and I was a little thirsty, a little hungry, I was almost hoping he did. Because I would have just like seen him laying on the floor. I would have walked away and be like, can I have a drink? Like, that's how inconsequential your existence is to me, Bobby. I wouldn't even call 911. I would just let you lay there and whatever happens, happens. Okay. But what was interesting about Bob Medina, okay, is that he felt emboldened after, I don't know, maybe 2 years of holding this in about taking shots at your wife. Let me tell you something, Bob. The reason I take shots at your wife is because she's doing this service to journalism and advocacy and everything else. Okay. I don't have to pay money to get my stuff up online on a news site. She has to do that. She has to pay money to Insider NJ. And don't call me a liar because I got the receipts. I got the screenshots. So you don't have to do that. Okay. So if you want to call me a liar, that's fine. I got the screenshots. Okay. I don't have to pay money to anybody to plug my stuff. Okay. Unlike your wife. And the reason I go after your wife is, yes, it's tragic that she has a PhD like me, and that's all well and good. But is there a more intellectually bankrupt person than your wife, Bobby? Okay. And I know you want to brag about her. Oh, she stands up for immigrants and she stands up for women. Yes. Okay. And as you want to ridicule my show, as I took out my phone and showed you the traffic. Okay. Yeah, Bob, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Your wife couldn't get 2,000 views. If we put all the episodes of this year together on one link, it still wouldn't get 2,000. So I get it. You feel proud of her with her little activista rise up and whatever the other campesinas besides herself that she wants to have on the show and virtue signal. That's all well and good. Okay, Bobby. But this is the thing, Bob, that, you know, what was interesting to me. And I have to just say that, you know, everybody around me saw what you were looking like. You were looking like a clown. You were looking like an absolute clown. Okay? And that's the thing. And it reminded me that when you came this close to me, it reminded me, folks, if you ever watched The Wolf of Wall Street, okay, it reminded me of that scene where, you know, Jonah Hill, great role he obviously played there, Academy Award nominated actor, obviously in The Wolf of Wall Street, when he was in the parking lot, right, with one of the associates there. And it was funny because one of the things I'm going to do, right, one of the things I'm going to do is sort of reenact that scene from the movie, because that's how I felt. That's how I felt when you're right here, right, in front of my cousin, my date, and other people around who saw you getting all huffed up and puffed up, you know, because, you know, tú te quieres ser como el, I don't know, all that courage, todo ese coraje, right? Which was interesting. But I have to sort of ask, like, bro, like, you were like right here, and like, I'm looking at you, I'm like, you know, you're talking about, oh, you sort of start the conversation with like, oh, do you want to grab my genitals? I'm using another word because you used another word there. So I want to keep the show PG friendly. So of course, you know, when he came up to me, he wanted to say, oh, do you feel the need to grab my genitals? I'm like, no, I don't need to do that. You know, if your genitals are in your wife's pocketbook, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting because, like, I think of this scene because, like, you were like right here, and like, I don't know, bro, like, I kind of saw like this little twinkle in your eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, is there something you want to say, Bobby? Like, tú eres un poquito más o menos. Like, tú juegas con los dos equipos. Like, you play for both teams, bro. You know what I'm saying? I saw this twinkle in your eye. Like, bro, like you trying to kiss me, bro? Like, I hate to tell you, bro. Like, I know you were fixated. You kept repeating the same line, asking me if I wanted to grab your genitals. No, you must have me confused with Jay Lassiter. Jay Lassiter will probably want to grab your old, wrinkled up genitals. Go ask Jay Lassiter. Jay Lassiter loves to do that stuff, probably. Okay? I don't care to do that. But what was interesting to me is seeing you just like all mad, and I'm just there laughing, smiling. I'm like, mira esta con mermelada, coming up to me, thinking that screaming is going to scare me. And again, Bob, I don't know what you were trying to do. Were you trying to provoke me or something? I'm not going to do anything to you. You're 90 years old. Tú eres un viejo cagalitroso, un chancletero. You think I'm going to do anything against un viejo cagalitroso like you? Actually, folks, I'm trying to think of the right word here. Some old fossil? Get out of here. You think that I'm going to lower myself to be, I don't know, engaging with some chancletero? Please, I have way too much class for that. I stood there, I, smiled at him, but I noticed it and I saw it in your eye. I saw a little twinkle. Is there something you want to tell me or tell our audience? Is there maybe a conversation you want to have with your wife? Que maybe tú sabes que uno, you're kind of like, más o menos, that you want to play for the other team. Because, bro, like you were like, I was like, you want to kiss me, bro? Like, do you like, I'm sorry, Bob, to quote Jonah Hill in The Wolf of Wall Street. I'm sorry, bro. You're not the one for me. Sorry. You're just not the one for me. Okay. So I felt the need to sort of address that with you because again, it's your personal life. If you want to be Mahomeno and play for the other team, tú sabes, jugar para el otro equipo, that's your business. You might want to talk with Patricia about that because, if you're sleeping in the same bed as your wife and you're a little Mahomeno, and you're kind of thinking of other men or you want other men to grab your genitals as you were screaming that, not just in front of me, in front of family, in front of my hot date, in front of other people who clearly heard you. And what was interesting, Bob, was that the entire time I was calm and the person that got escorted out from the place was you. Now, again, folks, as just a little bit of a spoiler, I have been in contact with Stockton University and I am trying to get the footage from the premises where clearly it shows Bob Medina being escorted out because Bob es un chocolatero. Bob can hold his liquor. And even your brother admitted it because when your brother saw me later in the evening at Cuba Libre, he apologized for you. So imagínate la clase de basura, the type of garbage. Again, folks, I'm going to, make it in here again, basura, right? Because when we think of basura, right, we always got to think of Bob Medina, right? Basura, right? Because that's what you act like. You're 90 years old y te comporta como un chancletero, right? Because you felt the need to defend your wife. Because, oh my God, how dare I make fun of your wife who's a socialist, who doesn't know anything about economics and coddles illegals and is an activist with that. I'm sorry. Bob, I just got to say, I found the entire interaction funny because I wasn't the one being escorted out. It was you, Papa. It was you that looked like an ass, that acted like a chancletero, that acted like a campesino. And I get it, you feel comfortable in that. You married a campesina and you had little campesino children. And that's cool. I mean, I get you. But you might want to address that about whether or not you're little Mahomeno. Because, bro, I've never seen a man in his 90s be obsessed and screaming and he kept asking me over and like, do you want to grab my genital? Bobby, again, you're not the one for me, bro. Sorry, you don't do it for me. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I saw a little twinkle in your eye. Of course, I get it. I'm handsome. I'm very nice to look at. I understand why you would want me to do that. I don't do that, Papa. So again, you need to have a serious conversation with your wife if there's something you want to come clean about. So again, congratulations to you for coming up to me at the league. I just stood there laughing and smiling because there's nothing more embarrassing than a 90-year-old viejo calitroso making a fool of himself. Making himself to be a clown. So folks, yes, during this Thanksgiving week, right? And when I think about what we do on Thursday, right? I think it's important to sort of remember again, Bob Medina, is when we come to Thursday and we want to cover up a turkey, just think about the way I just carved up you, Bobby. Okay? Because you acted and looked like a turkey last week. And I don't mind saying it because you know what bothers you the most? You know what bothers you? I know what pisses you off is that you can't cancel me. Is as much as you try, as much as your wife could want to try, or whoever else in your little circle, you can't cancel me. You can't silence me. This microphone here is going to keep going. And I promise you, Robertico, that I get my hands on that footage from Stockton University and I can play the footage of you acting like an ass. I promise you, I'm going to publish it. Not just every week. I'm going to publish it every day on Instagram. I'm going to publish it on Twitter. And I'm going to embarrass you. Okay? More than you embarrass yourself. And you know what I really feel bad for? I feel bad for your kids. Because it's not their fault that their father acts like a chancletero. Bro, you're 90 years old. Shouldn't you know by now how to act like una persona decente? Una persona con cordura? Like, bro, people talk about Marielitos. You make Marielitos look like the dean of a college in the way you acted. You know what I'm saying? So again, as we celebrate Thanksgiving this week and we carve up turkeys, let's carve up this one right here. So Bob, on behalf of, everyone here on the show and all my fans who got to hear about this, and trust me, when I get the footage from Stockton University, I'm going to publish it every day. And just the caption to say, folks, here's a daily reminder about how classless and what garbage Bob Medina is. And Bob, don't think I won't do it. And if I get to do it next week, because I couldn't this week, obviously it's a short week, obviously I'm still talking with Stockton University, I promise you I will publish it as much as possible. You know how we laugh when we see Joe Biden walking up this, Air Force One and falling? That's always funny because he's so cognitively declining. That's how you look, Bobby. And that's how you're going to look when I get that footage and I publish the security camera, and I publish it not just on the show, but I'm going to publish it on Twitter, on Instagram. I'm going to embarrass you more than you already embarrassed yourself. And again, my heart goes out to your kids. It must suck having a garbage father like you. So to your kids, mira, niños, my heart goes out to you. I get it. It must be tough growing up every day, knowing you have a garbage human for a father and a propagandist for a mother. It's a shame. Que pena que, hopefully they don't grow up with any severe trauma and having such garbage parents there, So again, Bobby, happy Thanksgiving. Have plenty of turkey. Do me a favor. Control el licor, control your liquor, bro, because clearly we all know you can't control your liquor. And it's obvious in what happened last week. So again, folks, when we talk about the turkey of New Jersey, you can always remember, it's Bob Medina. Oh, and by the way, Bob, another conversation you should have with your wife, again, aside from que maybe tú un poquito más o menos, you know what? For someone that thinks that I'm offending their wife, well, Bob, here's a little bit of a reminder. Here's your wife's Twitter page, okay? Now, I don't know if you can see, again, you're 90 years old. You probably need like thick-ass glasses to see. But if you look at right here, you know what it says there? It says follows you. And then when you look over here, okay, what it says there? It says follow. I clearly don't follow your wife on Twitter, but your wife follows me on Twitter. So what does it say that you look like an even bigger come memelada, that your wife might be offended by what I say about her, but she still follows me on Twitter? Do me a favor. Go check your wife. Go handle your wife, because clearly you can't. And clearly there's a couple of conversations you need to have. Number one, again, maybe tú un poquito más o menos, because again, I saw that twinkle in your eye when you looked at me. Like, I get it. Like, bro, you're not the one for me, bro. So go kiss some other man, because it seemed like you really, really you really wanted me to like touch you and grab. I'm not gonna grab some viejo cagalitoso. I don't need to do that. Okay. And secondly, go handle your wife, because clearly she likes what I have to say on social media, because she follows me on Twitter and I don't follow her. So think about that, Bobby, this Thanksgiving. And again, next month at the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Gala, which I plan on going, if you have an issue about anything I said here tonight, you're more than welcome to come and have a conversation with me next month. But I promise you, it's not going to end well for you, because again, I just roasted you here. I'm going to continue roasting you, because again, folks, as it's garbage day tomorrow. You got to be able to take out the trash, right? So when you're like looking at the trash, of course, you always got to look at Bob Medina. So with him, what you do with garbage is you go like this, you twist it around, and you throw out the garbage, because that's where it belongs. Of course, folks, happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and that's our show for this week. Check out, of course, all of our great social media, and whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, make sure you follow me at the Fernando Zone. Make sure you follow and subscribe to Jersey First on YouTube. And of course, make sure that wherever you get your podcast, whether it's at Spotify or SoundCloud, all our episodes, not just of this show, but all of Jersey First TV, is available, again, on podcasts, wherever you get them, folks. Great traffic, whether you're walking to the gym, whether you're walking your dog, whether you are, I don't know, just taking your kids to ballet recital or the batting cages, whether you're taking them to the movies or a museum. Download it and you can listen to it however you want, wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. And of course, folks, the traffic continues to be very good here on the show. And of course, because of you, my loyal listening audience. So God bless you all. And again, as we approach Thanksgiving, I want to say thank you to all of you that keep making Real Talk with Fernando Uribe a success, and also that continues to make Jersey First TV the success that it is. It's not some little rinky-dink little channel like some people want to claim. It's not. It's a channel with integrity, with credibility, and character, because we're talking about issues that matter to you: the economy, the community, education, all that and much more, folks. Always, it's available with Jersey First. Make sure you like them on Facebook, and of course, follow them on Instagram and Twitter. And folks, I can't say enough about how thankful I am about all of you that continue to make this show a success in 2022, and certainly as we continue into 2023. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. Certainly enjoy it with your families. Please party responsibly on Wednesday night. It is Thanksgiving Eve, arguably the biggest party night of the year. Please party responsibly. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the football on Thursday and Thanksgiving. I know I will. But more importantly, folks, enjoy it with family. Now that we're out of COVID, enjoy it with them. Eat turkey, drink wine, have a piece of flan, have tostones, have whatever you want. But most importantly, have it with family, friends, and people that you love during this Thanksgiving holiday. Once again, folks, happy Thanksgiving to all of you, especially you, Bobby Medina. I'm so looking forward to seeing you next month at the gala for the Statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. If you got something to say, I'm all ears. I'm sure I'll hear something from you, if not sooner. But again, once again, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Real Talk right here with Jersey First TV. I am New Jersey's premier and now 7-time award-winning journalist, top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit online magazine, and certainly the Garden State's most beloved and visually appealing and handsome conservative. Clearly, we all know that some feel that way. Here in New Jersey, folks, yes, it's me, Fernando Uribe, saying so long, ladies and gentlemen. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Be careful on Black Friday if you're out shopping. Again, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next Monday right here, live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, latest edition of Real Talk with Jersey First TV. Folks, have a great week, and I'll see you next week here on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching.